Okay, let's see if that works. Unless everyone's gone. Yes, we got a yes. Okay, that's good. That's good. The everyone else is gone. They've had enough. Thanks, John. It works. Okay, great. Great for the feedback. Yeah, it's I'm back. Yeah, it's working good. That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's Friday afternoon here. I don't know what time it is where you are. Where if we've got guys from the US and Europe, UK, etc. But Friday afternoon here. It's actually been 8 a.m. in the UK. Okay. Um, yeah, Friday afternoon. It's actually been a bit of a busy week. It's with all the COVID restrictions we've still got in Melbourne, so they're still going for quite a bit longer, which limits what we can do a little bit. So it's made things much more difficult to get things done. So everything's on COVID time effectively. So things are going a lot slower. But yeah, it's basically things keep happening, but it's just got to, yeah, it's just more painful doing it. So we got. Would you like a botticia? Yeah, I'll take a botticia. um, yeah, that might be interesting. I'm not sure if yeah, what have I seen of that? I've probably only seen one or two of those over the years. So um, yeah, not that common. I do have the next round of cut-ups, which I'm sort of putting together now. So I'll put a poll down in the community thing next week. And yeah, and then we can decide on which one. So I've got one more that I'm just finishing off a cut up and review, which I'll upload probably tomorrow morning. I'll finish that off tonight and upload that tomorrow morning. The cut up and review, and yeah, and then we'll decide what's next. So Greg LeMond won on the Touron one. Yeah, not on a carbon one. That was a steel one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Greg actually has been into my workshop once when he was in Australia. He came and saw me, and yeah, because he's doing some carbon fiber stuff here at Deakin, and yeah, we came in and had a chat. So yeah, so what else we got? So made by Sato. Try and get some F1 parts or aerospace parts to cut up to show us how the big boys do it. Well, I've got plenty of aircraft parts to cut up. They're pretty boring actually, because there's nothing wrong with them. And yeah, well, the ones that so basically, when I worked in aerospace, like every part was scanned, and the ones which were rejected and beyond repair were cut up into little pieces and disposed of in the skip, so they couldn't be used again. And you know, when you consider, like, we were making rudders for the 777, and you know, that's a big part, and it would get scrapped, and you basically have this $250,000 part being chopped up into little pieces. I always wanted to take a piece home and make a coffee table out of it or something like that, but I wasn't allowed to. Same with it. We did F-18, and I always wanted to make a coffee table out of an F-18 flat, but we weren't allowed to do that either. So yeah, so I mean, I'll have to have a look what little parts and pieces I've got. I do have a few little bits and pieces. Yeah. What else? Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to send me a WinSpace frame too at some point. Well, it'll be interesting to see one of those. So yeah, what else have we got? You can tell because the holes are actually round. Yeah, nice. what I wanted to talk about today was a couple of things, but the first thing was like the merchandise I'm doing. Now I had a few comments about a less than ideal shirt, and that's sort of in the pipeline as well. It was like I thought I'll test the waters first with the Rouse yellow pencil and tell the story behind that, and then sort of bring out some more stuff with that. So, but the reason I want to do that is it's getting more difficult to get new model bike parts because the brands seem to want them back. Whether they're trying to basically not let me get hold of them, or I don't know. But they're offering like crash replacement policies and all this sort of stuff to get their parts back, and so it's getting harder to get new model bikes to review. So one thing, well, if I can get some more support for the channel, then we can actually go buy a frame. For instance, we can go and it'd be interesting to buy a Specialized SL7 and have a look at it, and so without and the thing is, it has to be random. Like we don't want them to send us one, because I've been to the factories, and it's I mean, I was told in a factory one time, "Oh, don't worry about UCI test. We do special version for that. It's okay." And it's like, "Oh, really? I don't really want to know that. You shouldn't have told me that, because I'm probably not going to do business with you now." So, that's there's some issues. So what I'm trying to do, I've got a couple of other things in the pipeline as well to just try and generate some more support. And then, because the one thing I think is really critical is to keep this 100% independent, unbiased. I don't want to answer to anybody, and that's not how I do it. So that's the reason I'm sort of doing the merchandise and some of these other things. So there is also super chat enabled for these live streams, whatever that means. I've never done anything like that, so I don't know. But YouTube send me all these things on how to do, monetize your channel, and this. I'll switch that on and see. But I really need someone to help me with all that. What do we got? So let's go back some of these questions here. So Tim, some repair workshops offer thermography. Oh, thanks, Shane. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you more about all this stuff, like how to set it all up. Because you've got what, 130,000 subscribers now. It's like Shane and I go back. We'll go way back. We used to. Shane came into the wind tunnel. I don't know if you can see up here. There's the pictures of some wind tunnel testing. That's me on the bike, but Shane actually came in. Came into the wind tunnel, and we worked on his position, and then there was another guy, Dave Fairburn, came into the wind tunnel one time, and we had a club race on the next day, and Shane won it. I finished second, and Dave finished third. And it's like, oh, fancy the three blokes who were in the wind tunnel, 1, 2, 3 in the in a time trial. Who would have thought? So Shane's actually helped me when he used to live locally, and he used to help me out with some stuff. It was a cold day in the tunnel, wasn't it? And that's the thing. People, they underestimate how difficult it is, wind tunnel testing. You think, oh, you're just sort of sitting there in the tunnel, and but it's not easy. It's not easy. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Let me go back. There was a good question here. Tim was talking about thermography, and look, thermography can be useful, and we did a whole bunch of stuff on that at Defence. But you really need some really high quality thermography equipment. So the equipment that we had at back in defence, and this is going back some time now though. This is what early. Oh no, it was even late 90s, I think. Yeah, late 90s, and it we had about $250,000 worth of high speed thermal camera. So yeah, that was I mean expensive gear. So so it really depends on, there's so many variables with all that stuff. So it is possible to scan a large area quickly, but you don't have the sensitivity. So basically, sensitivity and speed are interrelated. So the more the more resolution you want out of your scan, the longer it's going to take. So it's always a trade-off between sensitivity and speed. So yeah, the I don't know if that answers your question. So yeah, so it depends. As usual with most things engineering, it depends. Yeah, that's right. Next is you give about the wind space frame, getting one without them knowing about it. Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's what I want to make everything 100% independent. So if I can just go into a store and buy something, or and I'm even concerned about if I buy it under my name. So maybe if someone else buys it and then they get to send to their place and then send it to me or something like that. So I just want to make sure that it's not. Yeah, I just want to keep it independent. Like just keep it up. Get real. I mean, there's so much in the bike industry. There's so much backyard sort of backhanded stuff going on where it all just goes under the table. Oh yeah, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and all that sort of stuff. And I think I really believe that's part of the problem why we have so many of these little issues that we're having. So yeah, so yeah, that's right. They don't want them reused or checked independently, and hide the evidence. And I think there's a fair bit of that. And I think Envy were one of the first to start that. I remember trying to get some of their rims to test, and it was almost like a taboo. Like the bike shops would not give you one. No, we can't give you one because we'll get in trouble and all this sort of stuff. So yeah. Vikram, he had a 2020 Specialized Enduro and got the frame warranted to a paint defect and crack. They wanted the frame back. They got me a new frame, and my old frame is just sitting in the shop. Okay, well, if you can get it and send it in, I'd be happy to look at that. Dragon got hit on his Pinarello last night by a car. Can't see any scratches. How confident can I be that the carbon frame was not damaged, as I only had one scratch that I was able to wash it off? Yeah, I don't know. It's what you can't see that's the problem, and it depends on the Pinarellos. I mean, some of the older Pinarellos that you've seen, they crack and they haven't even been in a car accident. So, yeah, it again, it depends. Okay. Oh, and thanks, Deco Duck, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. So it's yeah, thank you very much. Best wishes from India. I've never been to India. And with the COVID restrictions, I'm unlikely to go there in the near future, I suppose. But yeah, it's I mean, fascinating. I'd really like to go up through the mountains and up sort of the back through there. But one day maybe. Okay, Vikram. So the shop doesn't want the frame, which is really surprising because I thought they'd want the frame back to do testing. Yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on getting my older SL4 refreshed with new rear drops? Yeah, no, the dropouts used to wear out on those, and I've replaced those. Like I've repaired those over the years. No problem. I did actually work with the Bastion guys, and I had some dropouts, some dropout faces 3D printed, little little inserts, so it would actually replace the carbon face with a titanium face, and then that was bonded in. That was really effective. So, and for a little part like that, it's actually surprisingly cheap to 3D print. You know, when I say surprisingly cheap, it's still titanium. You know, so but yeah, I think definitely, Shane, you can we can have a look at that and yeah, work something out. Yeah, for sure. Can you lower the camera so I can see your hands? Lower the hands. It's like I'm wearing my t-shirt too. See, yeah, I know. It's like some people say, oh, you know, the hands are going all over the place and talk with the hands. It's like I don't know. It's like, what's the problem? Now, okay, make a Pinarello make a special frame, X-ray, ultrasound, etc. Then they ship it to one of their Aussie employee homes, put some scratches on it. Yeah, you never know. That's the thing. It's you just want to keep it totally random. DC cycling. Look at some wheels with carbon spokes. Yeah, look, carbon spokes is an interesting thing because it's one of those. It's one of those things where in theory, it's really good. And when you have something like a lightweight wheel, which is all molded and unadjustable, you know, that works. It's a bit, it's not that practical in terms of if you damage the wheel, then sometimes you can repair the spokes, but often you can't. But you know, having a conventional metal, conventional sort of spoke like with a thread, it's that bond interface which is a problem. So, you know, personally, yeah, I think it's hard to go past like a CX ray or you know, that type of spoke. Like, you know, when you've got that interface um, between the carbon, and then you've got a larger spoke, so it catches more wind. And you know, they say they're aerodynamic and all this sort of stuff, but they're still larger, so they still take more wind, and particularly crosswind. So yeah, I personally wouldn't go down that line. Like, I mean, I wouldn't build any wheels for myself like that. I'd just, yeah, like people think because carbon's a good material for some things, that it's a good material for everything, and it doesn't work like that. Like, you don't go, okay, we're going to design an aircraft and we're going to make the whole thing out of carbon fiber, even though there's better materials for other aspects of it. So use the best material for the job. So, you know, on an aircraft where they you know, bolt things together, they use some titanium bolts, they use some steel bolts. Where the loads are really high in shear, they use steel because it's superior for that application. So also, I remember when I was doing the F-18 stuff years ago, and the F-18, the US Navy wanted to do composite landing gear on that. I think I've told this story before, and they spent, I mean, typical US military spend probably billions of dollars trying to do this, and then they ended up going to the airmet steel, which is like a really high strength, high fatigue resistant stainless steel. And Reynolds now, that's the I think the, you know, the 953 or whatever tube set, their top of the line tube set that so you can get a bike out of a similar sort of steel. So, but yeah, just because you can make something out of carbon doesn't mean you should. No. What else have we got? Just reading the comments. Is Campagnolo worth the high price to switch to? Well, that depends. I mean, I like Shimano, like Di2, etc. That's what I use. I think it just works. I found the Campagnolo electric shifting is a bit um, just a bit clunkier in the way it's put together. I think it's probably built quite fine, but just little things like the cable, the rear derailleur cable, um, coming out of the rear derailleur, and then there's a connector further down the line. So that if you snag your cable, you rip the cable out of the rear derailleur, you need a whole new rear derailleur. It's like $1,000 or whatever it is. It's just like doesn't really make sense. So a few things like that, which I think works fine. I mean, I get bikes with super record EPS and stuff coming in, and it's nice. All the switches feel good and all that sort of stuff. But a couple of little things like that, which not ideal. Less than ideal, I should say. I need to get the shirt done. Yeah, China's like, you're onto it, mate. You are onto it. It's like, yeah. That's the thing. We've got to watch out for that. Yeah. Okay. What dual shock destroyer? Do you have any C59s or EPSs kicking around to do a? Yeah. Now, actually, that's a good point because I contacted one of the guys who does the insurance, bicycle insurance, and so he had some bikes. He's got two Colnago C50s that he's going to give to me, so we can cut up both of those and do a comparison not only to the C50, but also to each other and see how consistent they are one to the other. But the thing which was sort of interesting with the Colnago, it was almost like there was like people thought it was a conspiracy, that I was creating a conspiracy against Colnago, and it's like, well, I'm just calling it as I see it. Like the way they drilled their holes for the cable guides and things like that, that's the result of that's how they drill it. And you can actually go on YouTube on their channel. So Colnago have got a channel, and they show you how to build the bike, and they actually show you how they drill the holes for those inserts. And they've just got the drill, and they go bang, bang, and it's just pushing it, and you can see the like the force that the operator is putting on the drill. So it's no surprise, particularly with unidirectional on the inner layer like that. It's no surprise you're getting delamination. So most of the bikes, the bladder molded type bikes are they've got fabric in those locations to reduce that level of splintering, because the fabric sort of you've got the mechanical interlocking of fibers, and so you don't get these long runs of splinters like we saw particularly on the C tube of that C50, where it pulled a whole spiral of 45 out of the tube. So get these. I'll get these two C60s. Hopefully, I'll get them in the next week or something like that. So I think I've got an EPS which was in a crash as well. But I want to have a look at some other stuff. I don't just really want to focus on Colnago. As I said, people already think it's a conspiracy, and it's like I don't know why people think whenever I show a bike which is lower than what they perceived that quality to be, they think it's a fake. It's like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a fake. It was the same with the look. Like I had to do like a couple of videos explaining, no, it is not a fake. It is a genuine bike. The serial number has gone back to look. They didn't tell me it was a fake. It's like, come on, like this is real. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not real. Like there's one guy who's like, I think he left about 50 comments on the thing about it's a fake, it's a fake. Oh, show us the serial number. So it's like, well, here's the bike here, and there is the serial number. That's the serial number. So, saying, oh, you can email Colnago and they'll tell you if it's real or not. It's real. Like that titanium bottom bracket would be more expensive than a fake. So just making that titanium bottom bracket shell would cost more than making a fake. It's real. Anyway, some people yeah. Anyway, I don't I don't want to talk too much about that. Anyway, it's yeah. We'll leave it at that. I wonder if you are seeing some common aluminium frame issues that you could show in your video. Well, I did show that repair recently where a person he contacted me because his tandem had the fatigue cracks, and yeah, I mean as you could tell from the design that was always going to crack. There was no ifs or buts. That was going to crack, just the way it was made, and so we did a carbon repair, and so if you haven't seen that, like, yeah, have a look at that because it's it's not often thought about. Oh, you do a carbon repair on a metal structure, but when I worked at Defence, we did a lot of work in that area for battlefield repairs and all that sort of stuff. So because you can do a quick, simple repair without much equipment, really. Like you don't need welding gear and heat treatment ovens and all that sort of stuff. You can have a simple vacuum pump, heater blankets, and away you go, and get a quick repair done. I mean, aluminium. I have seen a lot of aluminium failures. Like fatigue cracks. Particularly around welds and things like that. So, I mean, you have to remember that in aerospace, the carbon is replacing aluminium for that reason, because from the fatigue cracking point of view. So, yeah, but I mean, there's probably enough people out there doing aluminium stuff. Yeah. The hands are good. Here we go. Just how diff is the bike manufacturing from that aerospace industry? Is it more than QC, or do they use different methods? There's chalk and there's cheese. Yeah, it's a different level. So, yeah, it's a completely different level. Different processes, different materials, obviously different quality. So, if I was buying a random frame, I'd get one close to where you live. Yeah. These videos have a big impact on sales, I must imagine. After Hambini's video, or Bayer tried to get his video hidden, they are dead to me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many. I don't get that many views, really. Like, I mean, my biggest view video is that Savello, where they had the on the S5 with that little camming thing and to limit the travel, and it causes a delamination. And yeah, Savello. I haven't heard from Savello about that. So I mean, it's 100,000 views or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they pretend it doesn't. Pretend it doesn't exist. I don't know. Well, I'm getting sort of just getting a bit left behind. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. If the quality's bad, they say it's fake. If the quality's good, they'll say you were paid off. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyone who knows me says, I just call it as it is. It's like I'm not on anyone's side. It's just the truth. It's just like I just report what I see, and I often find people want want opinions on stuff. And what do you think about this one? Well, I'll show you all these flaws. You can probably work out whether that's good or not. Like, you probably don't need somebody to really tell you all this stuff all the time, you know. So yeah, I'm sort of trying to keep up with these comments. Jeez. Yeah. They break easy, can't be recycled, and are super expensive. I'm losing faith in the benefits of carbon frames. Please offer inputs. Well, they only break easy because they're not built. That's a design. So, you know, if you want a 700-gram frame, it's a compromise. So, you know, you could build a frame that weighed, you know, probably 1,100, 1,200 grams, and you could, you know, that would be almost indestructible. So it's not again, it's not a material thing, it's a design thing. So the planes aren't just falling out of the sky randomly. Well, not due to structural failures yet. Like, well, I mean, Boeing have had their couple of planes with the software stuff, and yeah, that's well, won't go there. But they haven't had structural. It's not a structural thing. The planes are falling out of the sky. So it's a design thing. So they can sort of be recycled. There's you know, a lot of work being done in that space. They're only super expensive because that's what the brands are charging. That it's, you know, they're not. It's like to get a bike out of China. I mean, like to get one of these out of the factory, the actual unit cost isn't anywhere near what you're paying for it. So, yeah. What else? So yeah, I saw Peak Talks review on that. We actually had a bit of a chat about that. On over email, just about the spokes and stuff as well. But are Hambini BBs that stiff? I put a comment in on one of Hambini's videos on his bottom bracket. His threaded bottom bracket, the Shimano, and because it seemed contradictory to me that he's got the spigot to align the threads, but if the threads aren't concentric in the housing, that little thin aluminium spigot is not going to do much. Like, it's going to be deformed. So, yeah, it sort of seemed a little bit, you know, the thing with the bottom bracket, the threaded bottom bracket, is the threads need to be concentric and the faces need to be square, because when you tighten against the face, if the face isn't square, when you screw the cup in, it's going to pull out of shape once it hits that non-square face, and the forces are significant. You know, you've got this large area, and I had a little bit of an argument with him, because he said, "Oh, it's really stiff," but there's no way a 28, 30 mil diameter thin wall aluminium tube is going to be stiffer than a bottom bracket shell. Just, you know, that's much bigger diameter and thicker wall. So, yeah. He at the time he suggested to do a video on it, but I got other things to do. If you want to have a full check of a carbon fiber bike is undamaged, where can I take it? You can bring it into me. That's what I do. I don't know many other people in the world who do it, but yeah, that's one of the things I do. Okay. the C50s, HPs, and under the paint, they're often pretty average. Old world manufacturing doesn't seem to mix well with composites. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. Yeah. You know, if we forget about the passion of, like, everyone talks about the passion of Italian brands, but you still need good engineering, right? You still need good quality processes. There are makers like Crumpton, Walser, Rugamer, and so on that can get it done in the one at a time style, but they're putting 3 times the hours into each frame. Out of those, I've spoken to Nick Crumpton a number of times, and yeah, I think he's doing some really nice stuff. I did see a Walser years ago when I worked at the AIS. One of the national team girls got one in, and that was it was pretty average, actually. I thought, like, it was very sort of backyard laminate. You couldn't even get an ultrasound signal through it. So Rugame, I met him or her now as at Interbike years ago. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing at the moment. Do mountain bikes. So I just did an S-Works stump jumper. Now mountain bikes, I don't get as many of those coming in, just because the laminate is a bit thicker. And this is sort of going back to the other question. So the laminate's a bit thicker and they're more durable, and so they don't get damaged as much. And if they do get damaged, they're usually repairable. But if you've got a really thin wall top tube, like a road bike on a 700-gram road bike, and it gets impacted, all that energy is going to less material, so it gets dispersed further and causes more damage, and sometimes it ends up being beyond repair. So, but mountain bikes are usually much more robust. And as I said on the stump jumper, just that front triangle weighed, I think it was 1,100 and something grams. So, yeah, you got more material, you got more durability. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, people say, "Oh, my steel bike is really durable." Yeah, but it's heavy too. It's like, a steel frame, what, 1,500 grams at the light, a really, really light one. Average one probably 1,800 grams. A steel fork, 750, thereabouts, 750 grams. Yeah, if it's not really durable, like, you wouldn't be happy because you're carrying all this extra weight around and it's still not durable. So, yep, some internet theories are interesting. Yeah. Anyway, it was funny when I looked with the merchandise, and I had some comments about the face mask. I was just like, really? It's a face mask. It's like, there's no conspiracy about that, surely. Oh, here we go. Kaboom boom. Savello issued a statement to refute your claim about the design flaw. My local bike shop also confirmed they haven't seen any Savello customers experiencing the same issue. Well, that may be the case, but there's yeah, I've seen the ones that come in here. I've seen it, and I mean, it's the old story in the bike industry, in the warranty department. It's just like, oh, I've never seen that fail before like that, but everybody else in the world has seen it. So yeah. Anyway, well, I'm sure there's other people who have experienced that same issue. And where would there be a tangible impact on frames? Would there be a tangible impact on a frame's ride quality if it were made with aerospace grade materials and techniques? That's a really interesting question, because I think the ride quality is one of those things which is um, it's often overplayed, because there's so many factors involved, like your tube geometry. It's not just the material; it's the diameter of the tubes, the profile of the tubes, the wall thickness. The thing with carbon is you can also then control the ply angles. You got the fibre type and all these sorts of stuff. So there's so many variables. Would people actually tell the difference between some of these different ride qualities? Possibly not. Let's see. Where are we now? I'm trying to keep up. This is going gangbusters here. So, do you have any input on those woven spokes? Which, those braided ones. Yeah, as I said, it's not about the actual spoke. It's the connections at the either end which you got to worry about, because you can't put a thread on carbon. So you need, if you want it adjustable, you need some way of adjusting it, and that has to be used. Well, it's a metal thread typically, and so you got that interface, and then so that's going to create other problems. So more about that, more about spokes. What are your thoughts on Bastions 3D printed tie joints with carbon tubes? Should they have simply gone carbon all the way? Well, you could go carbon all the way, and people do that, but it's actually a good design. I'm actually doing some consulting with those guys, and did some work with them right at the start as well. And so, yeah, I mean, the titanium lugs work well, and the carbon tubes work well, and to do fully custom bikes like they're doing, it works well, because I mean, to do custom lugs out of carbon, that's not an easy thing to do. So it's very tooling intensive. So by 3D printing, I mean, you could 3D print a mold and then make it out of carbon, but why not just 3D print the thing out of titanium, and then particularly for a bottom bracket, you can machine the threads straight into it. So yeah, there's definitely some good aspects in their design. So couldn't you make a woven Kevlar style bike with internal bracing in the tube? Well, Kevlar's not great in compression, so it's really good in tension, but really bad in compression and buckling. So therefore bending, it's not ideal. So Kevlar's one of those things everyone talks about. Kevlar's bulletproof and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't work like that. So one of the projects I did at Defence was ballistic protection, and we used a lot of Kevlar, but also S-glass and other fibers, sort of Spectra and stuff like that, making ballistic protection. And they're completely different structural applications. So you actually want delamination to propagate, and that absorbs the ballistic energy, etc. Let's see what else we got. Have you had many Merida reactor frames come through to make a comment? Yeah, I've had a few of those come through. They're pretty standard, pretty typical. I've probably got one to cut up somewhere. Yeah, most of the time they're pretty good. Do I see any other materials other than carbon being mainstream in the next 7 to 10 years? Also, any radical changes in drivetrain? Other material other than carbon. Oh, the thing with composites is once you tool up for composites, it's and all the infrastructure, tooling, ovens, process lines, all that sort of stuff. You want to keep that going. So, I think it's probably unlikely in 7 to 10 years you're going to see a significant shift. There is some stuff being done with the thermoplastic material. So you've got the reinforced guys out of Belgium. I met them at a conference a couple of years ago, and so they're doing some automated automated thermoplastic with also steel reinforcement in it, which is they're saying it's really, really durable. So we haven't seen any of the bikes come out as yet. So let's see what happens. So I did a review on the Superstrata 3D printed bike, which that process seemed to have a lot of holes in it. So if you haven't seen that video, check that one out. The radical change in the drivetrain, probably not. The industry's reluctant to change stuff. Like, I mean, gearboxes and mountain bikes have been around for quite some time, and I know friends have got one and they really like them and everything's great. But from the bike company point of view, you don't have consumables. You don't have cassettes, chains, chain rings, and all that to wear out. So, yeah, there's probably going to be some limitations there. Do any companies use hybrid composites in parts of the frame to improve impact resistance? It's a bit of a theory on. It's not that simple. Like, say you've got say you've got 7 plies of carbon, and you say you put 1 ply of Kevlar in there to hold it all together if the part fails. If you've got enough force that you can break 7 plies of carbon, which has got about the same tensile strength as the Kevlar, that 1 ply of Kevlar isn't going to really do that much. Yes, the failure mode is different. It's it's a less brittle failure, but you've got significantly less material there to support those loads anyway. So, and the other thing that you can get is, depending where you put that ply in the ply stack, it actually acts as an interface and can propagate further damage. So, again, we did a lot of research on this in the 90s with stitching fabrics together and 3D weaving and all this sort of stuff to try and increase the toughness on these aircraft parts. And yeah, it's not as simple. It's like aerodynamic testing. Everyone has their idea, you just do this, but it's not like that at all. Recently cut my own fork with the Dremel and carbides thanks to Shane Miller's video where he visited you. The backlog at my local bike shop is insane. Good on you, Eric. You cut your own fork in half. Hope you wore a mask. Yeah, or at least have some vacuum extraction or something like that. Would you recommend scanning a frame after every crash, or is it more situation dependent? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really depends on the crash. Like, yeah, I felt sorry for Hershey yesterday. Like, he would have, he could have taken the polka dot and maybe won the stage. He was in good form, and then having that crash. Yeah, it was. I mean, he's good Swiss bloke as well. So, I haven't seen any Savello cut-ups. Haven't I done any Savellos? I thought I had. I've got plenty of them. plenty of broken ones. What about weaving titanium wire in carbon fiber fabric? Again, all it does, it acts as an initiation point for failure, and that one strand of titanium, which is has got lower tensile strength than carbon, what's it really going to do? So unless you've got something which has got higher mechanical properties, but there's not many of those materials around. That's why they use carbon, because it's got such high mechanical properties. Laminated metal foam. I mean, there are things like that for absorbing energy. There was a project with some helicopter seat brackets. So if the helicopter crashed, you would absorb some energy as the seats slam into the ground. So the G load into the body would be less. Hassan, thanks you like the shirt? It's good. I'm going to work on a bit more of this sort of stuff. Is Times Carbon RTM manufacturing really that much better compared to carbon pre? Oh, it's not. It's not better. It's different. There's different types of problems you can have. Aerospace is using a lot of RTM and a lot of pre-preg, and it's a matter of using the right process for the type of part that you're making. So, I keep coming back to that it's not about you just do one material, one process, and it does everything. It doesn't work like that. Is there a future in steel as a frame material in complex shape forming? Probably not. It's too difficult to form. It's very, very difficult to make complex shapes. So out of steel, because it's a hard material to work unless they are 3D printing steel stuff. So yeah. Kindernay rehubs. Never heard of Kindernay rehubs. The truncated ellipse design and aerodynamics. It's you might as well just go open a can of worms. Like every time we went to the wind tunnel, I went in the wind tunnel so many times when I was with the AIS and then consulting afterwards. And every time you go into the wind tunnel and you think, okay, today we're going to find the answer for this, and you came out with more new questions than what you had answers every time. Scot addict or foil? Yeah, I've had quite a few of the Scots. I've actually got one in the pile to be cut up, but I don't think many people voted for it last time, or maybe I didn't put it in. Anyway, I'll put that in the next slot. Graphene. Yeah, graphene was supposed to solve the world's problems. When was that? 5 years ago. Yeah, we haven't really seen much more of it. 8P Lovecraft is going for a ride. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish up in a minute, and I'm going to go for a ride as well. Yep. Lucia is Swiss. My parents came to Australia in the late 50s. I was born here, but I actually have dual citizenship. So yeah. En ik ga nou een beetje Zwitserduits redden, hè? Yeah, you'll understand that. I can even say "Gochie Gastly." That's a bit of a test. You like that, did you, Stefan? We talk a bit about epoxy resin and those stories about when it expires. Oh, that's a whole another can of worms. No worries. Well, we'll leave it at that. As I said, I'll upload the I'll upload the next cut up video probably tomorrow morning, and yeah, if we can, as I said, we can keep getting more support for the channel, and yeah, we can get more stuff in and review, because it's Yeah, my mission is basically cycling is enjoyable. You don't want to get hurt riding your bike. It's dangerous enough out on the roads as it is with all the cars and stuff like that. Don't have an accident because your bike hasn't been built properly. Let's push this to really get some good quality, the quality that you're actually paying for. Um, so you're paying good money for and expecting good quality. You should be getting it, and so let's just keep them honest. That's my take on it. So we'll leave it at that. No, Fat Weezer. I don't think that's true about Richie. Yeah, I don't think so. We'll do this. We'll do this again, and yeah, like I sort of want to make a little bit of a regular thing. So I've been doing the videos, the cut up videos, so trying to get one of those out every week, and yeah, we'll keep going along. So Eric Wynn, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's a lot of work sort of doing this stuff, and I'm not a natural at it by any means. Yeah, but I really like giving back to the community, and a a podcast that I listen to, and their attitude is that it's not knowledge until it's shared with people, and I think that's a really good line, and and that's what I'm I'm aiming to do is share the knowledge, and I really appreciate the support. So thank you very much. Keep an eye out for the cut up video, and we'll see you again soon. Okay. Have a good day, evening, wherever you are. All the best. Okay. Bye.